Hello everyone and welcome to another crazy Rudi build. You've seen that hopefully from the thumbnail. This is going to be a mad floating island lemur habitat. So here's the thing. I had that idea in mind to create something like that already when I was seeing how Frontier approached the climbing mechanism. The only thing is I didn't exactly know how to do it because I was a little bit confused how it works with the fences. However, you will see how I tackled this. You need to be a little bit you need to use a little clever trick, because obviously you cannot raise the how's it called again, the barrier towards the sky. So what you need to do first of all is to create a floating island which is completely a flat piece of terrain, so you can draw out basically the habitat. This is what I made at the very beginning, because I also wanted to make sure that the entrance to the habitat is already in the air, because if I would have put the entrance to the lower part of it, obviously the lemurs could have climbed it and escaped. So I needed to make sure that this is on top of the mountain. So as you can see, I first of all did this, and now once you set up this wonderful thing, you can start putting away the terrain, because obviously the habitat, as you can see, it stays where it is, which is pretty cool. Because the game, at a later stage, the game just draws it down to the very bottom part of it. But it doesn't matter, but because the terrain which is below that one is never being seen as terrain for the lemurs, because they can't reach that terrain, so they only consider the terrain that is on top of these floating islands. And that said, it really is absolutely magnificent that it works this way, because it shows how great the engine works. So by all the critique and all the feedback we had in the last couple of days with some glitches and stuff, I think this build over here shows the whole story behind the wonderful locomotion system. I just don't find any words for it, how great this works. And having the freedom to build these crazy habitats, I mean, it's far away from being realistic at all. So yeah, I mean, come on, it's a floating island. You wouldn't be doing that. So at the end, I was even experimenting with some, some supports underneath to make it really like seem as if this could be some real stuff. But honestly, you wouldn't have the lemurs run on top of these mountains anyways, because they would basically fall down. So you would put some nets in between, and it will take away from the great look how it looks at the end. So I just went full crazy there to just make it look like that. And also people in chat were encouraging me to go crazy, except being the way it is, and just make it the way it is, and just make it look as good as possible while not looking too much into realism. I mean, that's fine anyways. So yeah, back to the locomotion system. Again, you will see in this time lapse how I tackled this kind of workflow of actually how they can reach all these islands. And I can only tell you, it will work in the end. The lemurs will be able to go everywhere, and they do. They actually do go everywhere. It's insane. It looks so freaking amazing how they just jump over and climb over. I would have loved to do this with chimps as well, or mandrills, but I decided to go for lemurs because they're a bit, I felt like at least they're climbing a bit more than the mandrills. And they just move a little bit more, and they're a bit more agile, so to see that they're all moving. But I can only tell you, it is just insane that it worked out. So you can see I'm using some of the vines, even though the lemurs don't like the vines. I just gave it to them because they use it. It's funny though, they don't like them in terms of the plants, but they still use it. So I was like, okay, well, I don't care. I give you so many plants you like that you don't care about the vines you don't like, because the vines obviously needed to be there to just first of all make it look like the Avatar mountains. And I think it's the first time I mentioned this. I mean, obviously, completely obviously, it is definitely inspired by the floating Pandoran mountains, I guess. So I really tried to mimic this and create my own version. The thing about the own version is because this, the terrain around here, the kind of is it region we are in, the Indian region, doesn't offer too many of the grayish soil textures, so we can't really do it the way it is on Pandora. And I wanted to use the most I could with the stones and the rocks, but the problem was at the end of the day that the rocks are pretty much blending in only okay-ish. They're not blending in too well, so I was trying my best in creating it. Here you can see now I'm using one of the lemurs as a test object. I'm so sorry, don't mind me. I'm just testing it. And you can see by putting down some of the climbable objects, I could make this happen that they are able to go to different islands. So I had a little bit of a struggle with this one over here. I was testing some more pieces and stuff, and I don't know why it just worked later on. For a moment it doesn't, and then later on it worked, because you can see on the greenish thing they did see it works, but for whatever reason it didn't. So I was just raising it a little bit, it still didn't work. But on a later stage, I don't even know what I exactly changed, but it then worked out. So yeah, I was still trying with the traversable area, and I have to say, yeah, here you see I didn't really change anything, and then all of a sudden it worked. But the cool thing about this is you can really tell how great the system works. It's updating quite quickly. It's really a very, very nice system when it comes to how creative you can get in the game. They seem also to have a very, very good AI, a very good pathfinding. Because obviously I was testing to have various enrichment items, and I put the enrichment items all on different islands, so that they have to go to the other island, obviously, because I didn't want them to chill only on the main island and then just look around and say like, hell, well, I have everything here. I'm just a lazy little lemur chilling on this island because I don't want to climb over. And yeah, at the end of the day, I managed to do this. But you can see I was also willing to already put a fence down on the lower part here to make sure that this looks nice. I wanted to have like a, yeah, it's wood, the wooden fence. I would love to be able to recolor some of those things, actually. I feel like this is a cool thing to have a recolorable option for all of the fences. I do know that the concrete one will be recolorable in the final game, because it has been in the alpha in the Indian park. It definitely has been, and it has the option tucked to it. The only thing, it's not working in the beta. So I believe it'll definitely work in the final game. A lot of things have been changed, by the way. Today there was another beta update 1.3, and I have tested a few things, so a lot of things have been improved. Guests don't stock that often on the staff path, which is awesome. They improved a lot about the feeding mechanisms and the cleaning mechanisms, which is also awesome. By the way, I'm just don't mind me starting the game again. I forgot to cut it out, and I'm too lazy, because I'm preparing also a little side story. I'm preparing a lot of videos for you guys while the beta is ended, and I'll be in holidays in 2 weeks time. So I'm preparing a whole bunch of videos at the moment. So I will now go to maybe just one video a day to get myself some time to record and do stuff for you guys. I have a lot of ideas. I won't be able to bring them all in the beta. It will then go obviously to the full game, which I think is fine. There's one bigger idea I still have in my pocket. I'm not sure if I will be able to deliver it, simply because of time reasons. I'll do my best to do so, but yeah. Now back to the beta improvements. They improved that also the habitats are cleaned more often, and the animals also enjoy it more when it's clean. Obviously they do, but it's not as sensitive as it was, and all the things are pretty well working together. However, and I just did a little nip of my water. I don't know, my voice is a bit scratchy at the moment. I think it's because of all the streaming. This build also has been done in a live stream. If you haven't seen that on the live stream, go over to my Twitch channel. I'm also planning on putting the VODs on, but for the moment, oh damn, my voice. Wait a second, I'll be back with you. So here we go, second attempt now. I hope that my voice is a bit better. Okay, what was that even? Holy heck, okay, never mind. Okay, the hiccup. Anyways, so the live stream on Twitch, if you haven't been there, I plan to put the VODs on my channel later on, but the VODs are always a little bit tricky because not too many people want to watch them. A lot of people were watching it already, so I'm planning to upload them just to have a bit of these on. I'm not considering them like the normal content, because obviously it's like an easy content. I'm just putting them over from Twitch, and that's it. I just put a thumbnail on, and it's not really the kind of content I would love to do, because it's not too much effort put into, and it's just what I already did. I mean, live streaming does belong to Twitch in my eyes, and the content I produce here, the speed builds and everything else, belongs to YouTube. So there's for me a clear cut in there. I definitely want to do that. Also, images do belong to Instagram, and information dumps and kind of crazy, weird answering and fun and dialogues, they have to go to Twitter. That's my belief. I did obviously mix them up a little bit too much in the past, and I want to be a bit more precise on these channels now, to be just make this more accessible for people, so they know, jump to my Instagram, you get the latest screenshots. Jump to my Twitter, you get the latest infos. Jump to my Twitch channel, you catch me live if I'm online. Jump to my YouTube channel, you have all the video content. I think it's pretty easy, right? I'm sorry, I usually cut this out, but it's that it's just not working. My voice is so, oh, whatever. Yeah, you can see it's now slapping a lot of rocks, a lot of things in here, so to make this whole floating island look a bit better. As I said at the beginning of this video, the Pandoran Islands, they are a lot more. By the way, we had a crash, so I needed to do it again. I just left it in because I did it a bit different here. Not too different, but it looked basically the same in the end. Just a bit better, so I think I put it that way. So the Pandorian Islands, they look a lot more grayish, as I said, and also they look a lot more green and grayish. Therefore, I did paint the terrain from below in green with the grass, and I think it's kind of cool because the best thing about this is that the lemurs don't notice the terrain that is below the floating island. So you can actually paint this in every terrain you want. It doesn't affect the terrain stats of the lemurs, which is great because that enabled me to make them look a lot better than they did before. But from the top view, you definitely needed that. So yeah, as you can see, there was something broken when the game crashed. It seems like I haven't had the final thing done, but yeah, now just updating again, you can see it's all reachable again. It's pretty cool. They do move quite a bit, so it's really awesome how they all approach this, and it just I don't know, it just looks so great in the game later on when they move. I just have 2 little clips, and I'm planning to release a little video, 4K footage of this wonderful floating island with all the lemurs running around. I hope this will be looking awesome indeed, and then I will just make a little video of that, because also the waterfalls over here, it just looks so dope in the end. I really loved how this turned out. It was just a little test. I wanted to do something completely different in the stream, but all of a sudden this idea came to my mind that I still had this idea on my list, and I was like, why you just don't test this in today's stream? Maybe you get this done. And yeah, fortunately enough, I did manage to do this, even though Fane was telling me to go to bed like after an hour already. So Fane, I had a good sleep. I slept very long. If you're watching this video, I had a very good sleep. I did recover good. I had a, you know, I did rest for a long time, so that was pretty dope. I would love to sleep more, but I would also to play more, and I would love to get money, so I need to go to work. A lot of issues here, you know. But that's how the world is. That's how the world runs. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak, guys. You need to go on and do the stuff. That said, you do need your rest. By the way, now as we've done mostly everything we needed to have the floating islands look like they should, I was then putting in another facility area to create a new work roster for staff members. And I was putting down some more staff members to make sure that this island over there is always pretty nice and tidy. It's funny enough, it seems to work. The only issue I have is I still don't know how the staff members would access the other islands to prove them, so to make them clean. I still don't know how this should work, and I don't really want to build bridges, so I don't know, maybe they just use the unbelievable power of the poop sucker and just suck it, you know, across these islands because it's so strong. Okay, I'm talking weird stuff here, but I just wanted to say I don't care about realism at this point. If it's working, it's fine. If not, well, I don't really want to build bridges, just because I want to maintain this look of it. I mean, I'm potentially gonna lose this park anyway, so why fix things that are not important right now? Just 4 more days left until Frontier rips the game away from us again, and we will be very sad and lying down on the floor and crying and, you know, not be happy again in our lives until the full game releases. That's how I will do. Well, now, the last thing I'm doing, and you've seen this obviously also from the screenshot, I am building a tower over here because, you know, that's the one thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to have the bare bone staircase here for the staff members. I wanted to have like a proper little tower. Actually, it's not that little, it's a big tower. And I was also trying to make it as small as possible to make sure that it still, you know, feels like something. So it's kind of a combination of a... It's almost Asian African looking. It's kind of a combination of African and Asian tower. Again, I wasn't going for a particular architectural style. I just wanted to make it somewhat fitting with a little bit of gray and white tones in here. The main issue about this, and the main reason why I was doing this, is that I wanted to cover up, as I said, the bare bones skeleton of the staircase, which looked very odd. I could have done also like a terrain thing, but then it would be even bigger to cover this all up, and also I was afraid that the lemurs could climb it. So at this point in time, I made sure that the lemurs couldn't climb because there's no connection between the roof and that mountain, and also they are not jumping over, so that's also a good one. yeah, I needed to delete all these pieces so that, you know, people could walk through the wall. They don't care too much, but I wanted to make it look like a bit nicer. The only last little bit of issue I had was this connection over here to make sure that the lemurs can't climb over. So I came up with this little wall. Honestly, I would love to just delete that and connect this to the tower, but I can't get any closer to the tower with the door. It's a bit of a pity because otherwise you can see the white line, which is the border of this area. It kind of is not particularly fine for us to use, and yeah, as close as I can get, the game always recognizes the animals as escape, and I don't want to have this annoying bell ringing the whole time, so I wanted to make sure that this somehow works. Well, yeah, as you can see, this is the supports I was tucking in. I can tell you already, in the end I deleted them because I felt, yeah, people in the chat had the right to say so, that it is fairly unrealistic even with those poles, so I got rid of them again. In the time lapse you won't see me deleting them. I did this later on when I was doing some finishing touches. And yeah, but one thing though, we are coming into the last bits of this video, and I can't wait to have this little bit of a last element I'm doing here. This is something I would love to have in Planet Zoo anyways, but it is something I came across while I was doing this build, and I was like, how people in the chat asked me, how do the people actually see the lemurs up there? It's not working, is it? And I was like, you know what, we need something like binoculars or something like that, and I came up with a little telescope idea. So I was plopping down some small pieces. Fortunately enough, Planet Zoo offers a lot more small pieces. And I was like plopping them all down, just to make sure that this works out the way I was hoping it. And it did work out pretty well indeed in the end. I was testing a few designs, but the one I ended up with, I wanted to try and give this a shot to make a blueprint out of it, but it didn't work. So maybe today with the update, I'll be able to, you know, open Planet Zoo again and put it up. So after this episode, or while this episode, guys, check out the workshop. Maybe the telescope is in there. If I succeeded creating a blueprint out of it, I put it in. Also, it might be that the floating island even is in. If it is less than 4,000 pieces, it could be that the tower is a little bit too crazy, but then I'm trying to do my best to keep it in. However, I am fairly proud of this build. As you can see, this is the little telescope over here. It's a fair bit too big at the moment, so I'm just lowering it down a little bit later on. I tried it with 2, but then yeah, it's more looking like a shotgun. We figured that in the chat, so we just kept it the way it is, and did some finishing touches over here, just having this handle on top, you know, looking really clean, I guess, for the pieces available. And yeah, I was just then testing, as you can see, how it looks for the people. It's not that big, so I was just moving it a bit down, and people could use it, and I was just pooping them around this build just everywhere, so people can watch the wonderful lemurs from the area on the bottom here. So, but that's it. Now, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this crazy build. I just thought it would be a nice idea to make this, and yeah, now we have a bit of footage at the end that shows that the lemurs are actually using everything. You can see here I'm doing some screenshots already, but now, as you can see from the now, just, you know, wait, there we go. There you can see the lemur is just like wonderfully running up the hill to just play around there and just enjoying the overall area. You can see how this all looks from over here. Everything works. The lemurs are just walking over here. You can see they're using that bridge now. And fairly simple. They have a vine, but they can also just run over. This lemur decides to come back because it didn't want to, but the small one you can see in the back, it's just running across to check out this area, and everyone is just like enjoying their wonderful floating habitat. Animals are just climbing everywhere. On the left hand side there you can see this little mate is just going to another level here. Just everyone is enjoying their habitat, and I couldn't be more happy with how this turned out and how the game allowed me to do it, and that is it, the full glory of the floating islands. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, click that sub button if you want to stay here. It's very important because at the moment we're building up the crew, and it's really fun to read all your comments. Leave me down some feedback how you like this build, and I'll catch you up in the next one. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. As always, make sure to check out also my social media channels. You can find me everywhere under @Rennkamel. Also, big thanks to the crew. You can see it on the left hand side right now. And as always, if you want to see more, you click that card on the top right. And if you want to stick around because you like the stuff you've just saw, whatever, you know what I mean, just click that sub button, which is to the bottom right of the screen right now. But everything else I can say is have a great time and see you next time. Bye guys.